You're listening to Cards to the Moon, a podcast about trading cards from both a collector and investor perspective. We hope you'll stick around for the ride as we take a deep dive into the state of the hobby, share some hot takes, hopefully some useful advice, and fun stories along the way. Hey guys, welcome to Cards to the Moon. This is episode 55, and I am Clark of 5 Card Guys on Instagram. And with me, as always, is Hyung of Integrity Sports Cards and John, who is Trade You at Recess. Okay, so today, off the top, just want to get your thoughts on the news this past week of PSA fully opening up their economy service level to PSA Collectors Club members, which I believe is $99 US per year. And to give you guys some context, the estimated turnaround time at the economy service level is 90 days, not guaranteed, for cards valued at $999 or less, and the service costs $50 per card. So do you think it's worth becoming a member now, or is it just a cash grab by PSA? What do you guys think?
I don't know, man. That $99 collectors club is just
But they've always had that, right?
I know they always had that, but they open it only to $50 submissions. To me, that's a little okay. The only reason I say that is there are 3.2 million cards backlogged. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
There are people that submitted in 2020 in the bulk submission that is part of those 3.2 million cards. So the fact that they're opening, that's true. Did you get all of them back?
I think I'm waiting for one more.
One more?
If you guys,
Jeez, like crazy.
I've been putting up a lot of reels lately. If you guys didn't notice on my 5 Card Guys Instagram page, and the comments that I'm getting hundreds of comments with these reels because there's so many that can relate to this hardship. Let's just say that of waiting a year plus for PSA cards to come back.
Yeah, so that's kind of like my issue, Clark, is that they should take care of that first and make that a priority before selling, economy subs that people are sending in and getting back before these bulk submissions that, and I think the people need their cards back. It's been way too long. And I like to see PSA. It's inevitable that they have to open up a $50 service, right? So it just kind of sucks that you have to join this member, like a Costco membership for $99 to buy kind of like, their service, right? So I don't know. For me right now, I'm like I said, it's not in play right now still, even at $50 because of the 3-month turnaround. It kind of worries me. It's not saying that I'm not submitting to PSA because obviously it's individual basis, right? Per card. There's so many factors that play into it. But in the meantime, like I think there's other grading options that I'm looking into at better price points, right? So
true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think it's the same strategy as before. If you have a monster card, clearly you're going to take it to PSA. But if you're just talking, maybe PC cards or mid-level cards, if for me, I'm probably going to continue to wait. If I don't want to sub to SGC, if I don't want to sub to any of these other companies, and I feel like I just want to put it into PSA, if you can wait, I would probably wait. They mentioned that they're going to, they anticipate catching up to the 3.2 backlog by the fall. And who knows what happens then? If they catch up to that backlog, how many employees do they have grading cards? Like 400 employees. Like, what are all 400 people going to do? So at that point, I think a lot of people are speculating that prices could come down from PSA. Maybe a $50 submission turns into $30 submission again, just so all of those people have something to do, and they start, that I think that'll be huge, man. Like that's. They're going to bring down the hammer. I think PSA is going to make a monster comeback. I think SGC is in trouble. I think anybody else that have been taking up some market share or have been feeding off of PSA's pricing, I think they're going to start hurting when PSA comes. If, obviously speculation, but if PSA comes back with full service with lower pricing, it's going to be big. So for me, For me, I'm in no rush to grade anything right now. I would probably wait until the fall. But, some people are in the flip game. You need to turn over the cards pretty quick. So to each their own, right?
Do you think they're going to go down from 50? I think that's the base now, in my opinion. The $50 per card. Like, what incentive would they have to offer it for $30 per card? And, that opens up, collectors sending in their cheap cards. Like, it was so funny. The one reel I put up of Lewis Robert Topps Chrome base that I submitted, I got a PSA 10. I waited almost a year and a half for. And then some of the comments are like, it's people like you sending in these base that are causing this backlog. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I submitted this a year and a half ago when everything was making money. Okay. So you got to, remember the context. And
sure.
Would I do that now? Of course not. It's not worth it for me to send in base, and especially at $50 per card. And especially, we talked about this before, PSA 9s being less than raw card values now.
It's
you know
insane.
what I mean? It's not worth it. Not worth it. So I think this economy level service that they just opened up fully to their members is, I think the value's got to be around $1,000. So, it's not even high end enough for me to submit a card that's worth the $50 per card, in my opinion.
And I also can't get over the fact that there's upcharges because the market is so volatile. So it's like, you know what I mean? So they just took an upcharge of a card. What if that value card drops?
Yeah.
Right? Under a certain value, right? Because the market's so volatile. So like for me, I don't love their principles and the way they're doing it, but it's crazy what marketing does, right? How they market themselves, the brand strength they have, all that comes into play, right? And I think a lot of these flippers coming in from different industries, they're more not the hobbyist, obviously. They're more into culture, right? So they only see PSA or nothing, right? They're coming into this space, and they think BGS is not. They don't really know what BGS is but when they got into this space, it was shut down, and PSA was kind of like the trendsetter, right? So I know a lot of like sneakerheads that come into the hobby. They have that kind of like PSA or like none. It's PSA or nothing, right? That kind of mentality, which is not like the total opposite for like a hobbyist or someone who likes to rip, for instance. Like someone like me who likes to rip, I need a solution to make some of this money back. So obviously the ripping leads to grading, harvesting cards essentially, and then selling them. That's the normal hobby, how the hobby used to work, right? And I still do that. So grading is relevant. Like who I submit to is very, very relevant. Sure. Price point is very, very relevant. Service is very, very relevant. Resale value is very, very relevant. So all these factors still come into play. And like I said, every individual card is going to be different, right? You got to assess it individually, but I just don't like I guess where PSA is going with this, just because there's a lot of, I guess, not happy customers. I always thought I was gonna be a PSA 10 fan. Like like I love the slabs, I love the clarity of the slabs, but I never thought that I would have so much bitterness towards PSA, and it's just eye-opening to see, and it's sad to see because they do a great job, marketing their brand. I just wish that they could take care of the people that have the bulk submissions like you, Clark, so that you could get your Topps Chrome Louis Roberts back, right? And many more goes.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. For me, their service level kind of turned me off. And it's not to say I'm never going to get PSA 10s anymore, because I recognize their brand power. But instead, I'm just buying cards from eBay that are PSA 10 graded.
Right,
like,
that's perfect.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to... Like, it was fun ripping and then submitting and then, hoping for the best. But, like, just the service and the grades that you actually get and, how long it takes. Yeah, it just kind of put a sour taste in my mouth.
Right.
So
don't blame you.
All right. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out with PSA and with all the other grading companies, see how they respond to it. All right, let's move on to hobby headlines. Now, if you haven't noticed, the world economy is pretty volatile these days with inflation, the war in Ukraine, supply chain issues in a number of industries. And as a result, pretty much all markets, including stocks, NFTs even, and sports cards, are taking a beating with prices dropping across the board. So my general question to you guys is, what are you doing now during these times, right? I think a lot of people are kind of wondering that right now. Are you like selling your cards before they tank even more? Or are you holding and riding this out however long it takes? Or are you looking to actively buy as prices dip to all-time lows? Or a combination of those things?
This is that's a really, really tough question. And I don't want like get like into politics and stuff, because obviously that all plays a thing in this, but there's a lot of money printed in the last couple of years, and that's what we have to realize. The housing market's crazy, interest rates are going up. There's a lot happening in the world. I always believe that, you know, a physical asset is the way to go. Like, for you cash out on your cards, and what are you going to do with that money, right? The money is essentially worthless in my opinion, because they've printed so much. Like, you look back at how money used to work, it was the amount of gold equals the amount of money. But once you take that out and give the freedom for the Federal Reserve to print as much money as they did in the last couple of years, you're going to have a balloon. You know, and this is exactly what's happening. And there's a lot of money out there. And that's part of, I believe, why there was so much money available during COVID too. You know, that whole deal. Everybody's spending money because there's so much of it, right? So it's unfortunate. But for me, my plan doesn't change. I pretty much created a site or a business where, you know, it's day trading, right? Like, so I'm constantly buying and selling, and I'm buying and selling versus the market, right? So at the end of the day, I'm still looking at, you know, sports and entertainment as a whole, seeing if that exists. You know, the factors of rarity, you know, how many of those exist? Do I believe in the talent? Right? And do I believe in the future of kind of like where the space is going? And regardless, I think there's so much more value in sports cards than money itself, right? Especially when you look at it from I guess an investment perspective, right? So, and you know, at that point, if you think the whole economy is going to be gloom and doom and everybody's going to be cashing out on their cards, and you know, I think there's a lot more that has to happen before, you know, it all comes crashing down like some people think, right? Like there's a lot of factors at play is what I'm saying. And I'm still bullish on especially the lower pop cards, and I believe in sports and entertainment in our society. I think it's a big mover. Vegas is huge. Gambling is huge still. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So for me, I look at it in the macro lens in that sense, and kind of make my decisions there. And it doesn't change for me. Like I said in the Friday episode, I focus on GOAT type players, right? Like focus on vintage if that's your game, and if you want a safer investment, go vintage, right? I tend to like, you know, I don't honestly have much at all, right? But for me, it's like I enjoy modern cards. I enjoy the now of marketing. I enjoy the hype of even social media, the ability to connect with these superstars. We didn't have this before, right? So for me, it's a culture. It's a thing that, like, it's a hobby, a culture that, you know, you're able to kind of like experience. And for me, that has tremendous value. And the way you kind of make that value tangible is through sports cards, right?
Right.
So for me, that's my game. It never really changed. I believe that, you know, low pop cards will, you know, long term will hold a lot of value as long as there's, you know, players in the game, right? So
yeah, no, that's an interesting point. Like, from what you said, you know, it's all contingent, I believe, on seeing sports cards as a viable alternative asset, right? Like, right. Before the pandemic hit, how, you know, we were all scared, like, oh, sports cards is done because it's a disposable, like, you know, when everyone's losing their jobs,
Right.
Sports cards is expendable. But then the complete opposite happened. Like everyone
Right.
just got into it for nostalgic reasons, but then it became more than just sports cards. It became like, oh, this is something where we can make money off of. And then, you know, over the course of the past 2 years, you know, how many millions, how many billions have been invested into the hobby now.
Right.
So like, I think what you're saying is all true. If you really believe though that sports card is or has become this alternative asset that we can
Right.
invest in. John, what are your thoughts?
First of all, I hope, with the markets taking such a downturn, I hope that everybody listening has come into either any of these markets with their disposable income and not
Right.
losing, food on the table and being really, irresponsible. I hope everybody's responsible and, as much as we might be hurting, at least it's just our disposable income, right? And it's not, we're losing out on, like our lifestyle or anything like that. But
Sure.
with that being said, I think if you're in an opportunity to still have disposable income and to be able to spend, I don't see why it's not a good or bad time to still stay on the hunt. Like for me, I am selling, holding, and buying, just like Hyung is, and I'm trying to sell all of my high pop cards that I have had, thinking that I'll keep them for a long time when they go up. I've changed my course and said, you know what, I'm going to try to sell this stuff and move it into low pop cards while I have the opportunity. While the market is coming down, if you have the income or the disposable income, or by selling some of your current stock, I think it's a great time to try to get into cards that you may not have thought you could have got into in the past. Like with your Luka Silver purchase, I think that's a card, 12 months ago, none of us would have dreamed having sitting at $5,000 or $6,000, $7,000. So I think these are the opportunities. If you have the means, it's a great time to, in the next little while, to keep your eye out. Now, it's not like we have to go out, and I'm not rushing to do any of this stuff. I think I'm like you, Clark. I'm sort of waiting for opportunities, and opportunity number one for us is going to be the card show in June. I think that's going to be our first step into like looking to see if we can get something that we really catches our eye. But other than that, I'm taking my time with it. I'm trying not to rush. Of course, trying not to FOMO buy as best as I can. And trying to move all of my stock and my collection into low pop. And I mean, if this isn't, like a lot of this is investments, because it's, and a lot of it is a hobby. So best case, it's an investment and it makes you a lot of money. Worst case, it's a hobby, right, and you still get to enjoy what you're collecting, right?
Sure,
so I think, if people harp on, all like the hobbies change and everybody's all about the investments. No, not really, man. Like, if you can make money off of your hobby, come on. Like that is like
that's a good point, John. You can't have it both ways.
Exactly.
Is the key. Yeah. You can't say the hobby is ruined and then be like cashing out and saying profit is great.
Exactly.
Profit is great,
Yeah.
right? Like I see it always and it's crazy. It drives me nuts. It's like, okay, pick one side or the other. Stick with it.
Yeah, like I mean if my hobby is golf and I could be a pro and make money playing golf, come on. Like that is you're living the dream, right? So I think you shouldn't harp on people for like making investments in the hobby. Like people are living the dream. They're making money off of their hobby. Like how could you hate on that, right? So I think it's hand in hand. You can't say it's just a hobby or it's just investment. It goes both ways.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I mean, like from what you guys have already mentioned, I'm kind of in that same boat. Yeah, that's a good caveat as well. You don't want to, if you don't have the money or the means to do any kind of investment, like not just sports cards,
Right.
You got to reassess your situation during these volatile times. But
Right.
if you do, I look at it as any other investment, to tell you the truth, what you were saying, John, I'm kind of doing that across the board with all my other investments. So for example, my Lewis Robert Topps Chrome base, which is worth nothing now, right? I'm like, I'll take anything for it just to get, whatever, and then reinvest that into something higher, even if I have to pay a little bit more cash to get a lower pop or a more desired rookie card, for example, right? Because I still believe in sports cards as a viable alternative asset, as I was mentioning before. I'm doing that with stocks. Like I sold off all my Lightspeed stock, which I got a good profit off of, but that's been crashing hard. It's this like smaller tech company, and I got out of it during these more volatile times, and I'm just reinvesting all of it into Amazon now. So I'm kind of doing the same thing where I'm taking my profits wherever I can, or even at loss, and just reinvesting into blue chips, and like go type cards, like you were saying, Hyung, earlier. Like this is the best opportunity because all the prices are coming down, even the blue chips, even the goat players,
and it's crazy. It's crazy how parallel markets are. Like that's why if totally. investors know this, entrepreneurs know this, and that's why it's like it's good to always have a macro lens on things and look at the world economy. Look what's going on. There's things at play, and if you could critically think, you could make the right moves that can potentially benefit you in times of kind of like the when everything is bleeding red, right? All markets are bleeding red, essentially, right? But I always say the best investment is always yourself, right? Like for me, it's like, you cannot, whether it's, educating yourself, whether it's, even your health, whatever it may be, is just putting that time and energy and money, potentially, maybe not. If you have money laying around, maybe invest in yourself, start something, where it could create, cash. Like we always say, find a cash cow, take that cash, multiply it, right? Find a cash cow and mix and repeat, right? Like always. And that's what we essentially do. We work to get money. We take that money, we pay our bills, and then take, whatever's left over and you invest it. That's kind of like the process, right? So I think the best thing to do, if you're unsure as well, is always invest in yourself and, build towards your own personal goals. Don't think that an investment has to net you out, that month or whatever. It's like, hey, maybe it's $10,000 in an education that will totally change, your way of making money, that you can make bigger moves with that, right? So for me, that's always been in play. And you mix that in with cards too, right? Because a lot of people don't know this as well. It's like if you understand how the system, I call it the system, the game works, essentially, how the money system works, who's in charge, central banks, you can make the right moves and play in their game and do well, because there's stuff like limited liability companies, LLCs, incorporated businesses that have advantages, just like in real estate. There's different types of S corps and, whatnot in the US. Canada is a little different, but there's ways that people save on money. A lot of people are talking about 1099s and what do they do on tax. These are things that I say, educate yourself in areas like that you could take advantage of the system so that you could be more profitable, or you could potentially make more money in other ways, right? So I always say invest in yourself, in your own knowledge. You'll be surprised at what you're able to create and do, right? So
yeah. Good advice.
I disagree. You invest in Tiger Woods, not yourself.
Absolutely.
This is cards to the moon, not me to the moon.
I like it.
I'm just joking.
Thanks for setting
that's good. That's good advice.
But speaking of investing in Tiger Woods, investing in GOAT players, just curious for the audience out there, are you looking to grab a GOAT player now that the markets are down for some of these guys?
100%. It's always, for me, it's always the case. That's the goal. Just like how you're putting it into Amazon, your blue chip stock.
Right.
For me, that's why I do modern. It's like you upgrade, cash out and lock in the safe, and kind of repeat that. And eventually you'll have tremendous collection, and you do it for the hobby. You buy what you love, and 20 years down the road, you have all these low pop cards that are worth who knows in 20 years, right? Who knows what they'll have exactly. We just don't know, right? And that's the exciting part. To you, worst case, like John said, you have an awesome collection. I'm not saying that it's going to be just that, but like that's why you did it in the first place, right? Is buying that's why if you buy what you love, you'll be fine, right?
Yeah, we always come back to that, yeah. So specifically, any GOAT type, I mean, Hyung, you already have a lot of GOAT players in your collection, but Hyung or even...
I think Tiger Woods is great by, now that you mentioned Tiger Woods, because I think like he's so undervalued compared to like, the Tom Brady's, the Michael Jordans, the Wayne Gretzky's. Tiger's right there with them, with those four, that's, if like those are the GOATs of the GOATs, right? So for me, it's like, yeah, he's a great buy, I think.
Check his prices. How about you, John?
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you guys have been saying during volatile times, definitely stick to GOATs if you can. And, this is your opportunity. I think there's a lot of cards that you thought you couldn't have got into in the past that you can get into. We talked about this before. A lot of people don't want to take L's. So you're hanging on to the cards. Your cards were once worth $5,000 and your entire pile now is worth $2,000 and you don't really want to sell it. But hey, that Tiger Woods card that you were looking at a long time ago that was $5,000, it's now also $2,000. And you can make that swap, right? You sell out a lot of your low-end collection to get into it. So, when most people start on, this seems like a very common theme, and this is what happened with me. When you start off, most people aren't ballsy and go all out when you start out. You kind of start out small.
For sure.
You have an appetite of what you can afford and what you think is a lot for a card and what is not. And Clark, you and I, we both kind of started out saying $100 is kind of like my max.
Right.
Anything above that, that's kind of insane in terms of a card. So you end up buying and buying and buying and buying. And next thing you know, you spent like $5,000 and you have 50 $100 slabs at $5,000.
Right.
And 12 months goes by and you're like, you know what? Like,
you still have $50 $100 slabs.
Totally. But you're thinking to yourself, I should have gone out and bought that Luka numbered for $5,000 instead of buying all of these rinky-dink $100 slabs, right? And I think that's, you can still do that today, right? Like, I think people are just kind of scared to take a loss on whatever they bought, but do it, man. Like, get rid of all of those little $100 slabs. Even if they're at losses, and get into that bigger card. Like, if any, I think what was a dream before when you first start off and you kind of have the regret, I should have put that money into like a bigger card. You can still do that today. Like, it's not, just don't be scared to take a loss on some of those cards, right? It's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah, I like that. Any GOAT type players for you specifically that you're targeting during this market times?
Well, you know what? I have my eyes so fixated on Luka and Soto right now that I don't have my eyes on any kind of GOAT players. But I mean, if one day the opportunity arises, I would love to get into like a nice Tom Brady card, like a PSA 8 SP Authentic or PSA, something that is in the low 5 figures. I would love to get into, but Tom Brady, his prices are to the moon. But I mean, MJ, I think MJ, Tom Brady, guys like Tiger Woods, like very transcendent players within sports. I mean, I think they're big time buys for the future. So,
yeah. Well, this might be the only time you get the market.
Yeah,
I know, right?
That's no, but it's a lot of money for sure, even now. Yeah, no, for me personally, I'm hoping to secure like a really nice LeBron James or Mike Trout. Those are my goals. And I always feel like with every day that passes, I'm losing an opportunity. Like I'm trying to make it happen. So hopefully at this card show, I can make some nice trades, and then, I could trade further up from there and, hopefully do it within this calendar year. But yeah, I just see just a tremendous, if you have the capital to deploy, just see this time as tremendous opportunity, especially for for LeBron. Like all these cards are just going down. If you look at card ladder, if you look at the statistics, yeah, it's just if you really believe in these Go players, it's a great time to buy now, in my opinion. But we'll see how it goes. It is a scary time too. Like, I want to put that out there too. Like, it's easier said than done. So that's should be taken into account as well. All right. So I hope that was a helpful segment for people who are wondering what they should do during these volatile times. And let's move on to our next segment, which is actually going to be a little bit more practical in what we were just talking about. We're calling it On a Budget. So for this segment, we've done it in the past, but what it is we're going to give 3 price points, and each of us we're going to offer what we're going to buy or what we want to buy at each of these levels. All right. So it'll be interesting, I think, to hear what our choices are, considering what we just talked about with how the sports card market is trending downwards. So maybe I'm sure we'll be surprised to see, like, oh, we can get it at this level. If we did this game 6 months ago, it would not be within our budget that we're talking about now. So yeah, let's start off real cheap. $100 budget or less. What are you guys looking to spend it on?
This one's tough. This one was one of the toughest.
I think it's the toughest. The $100 is always the toughest. Yeah.
But I'm gonna go. There's a kid by the name of Robert Hassell. So Bowman Chrome fans will know who this is. But he had an enormous start to his high A profession, or his career. His high A career, that is. I think he'll be in Double A soon, and he's putting up solid numbers, and he's one of the top prospects with the Padres. So with the whole PSA 10 fiasco, not a lot of people submitted Robert Hassell base Chromes.
Right.
And there were the people that did obviously got it in time because he came out of 2020 Bowman draft, which was at the end of the year. So you could pick up some Hassell PSA 10s for $50. So I would say I like that play, because if you look at previous, kind of comps like your Spencer Torkelsons, your Julio Rodriguez, all the studs, that your Anthony Volpes, they have pretty decent volatility there, where you could kind of try to sell kind of at the peak. Right, so I could see that potentially 2xing, 3xing. So $100 play is very tough, but I like where Hassell's career is going and where he is in the minors. He's still super young, 20 years old. So he's a big time prospect that I could see that card kind of doing something pretty decent. So that's my pick.
Is that Bowman Chrome PSA 10?
Yeah, it's his Bowman First Chrome PSA 10, his base.
Okay. It's not bad at all.
So pop counts will be low because not too many submitted, and no one's going to submit at that price point. So now's the time to snag it up at $50 before, more people realize it, I guess.
Right.
Makes sense. Johnny?
Yeah. So I'm going hockey. We're going to go Miro Heiskanen Young Guns under $100. I think it goes probably in the $75 to $90 range. I could be wrong. He is a defenseman, so I know people will be like, I don't know about defenseman, but I firmly believe Miro is going to be one of these kids that is going to win multiple Norris trophies in his career. He's a very, I don't know if anybody watched in his junior days, but he is sneaky offensive. I think he has been molding into like a 25-minute, 28-minute minute cruncher for the Dallas. Clearly, he's like their main defenseman. He's their future, but he's not playing PP1. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he's not on the main power play because of John Klingberg, who's sort of like their offensive guy. And I think John Klingberg, by the end of the year, by next year, he may not be there anymore. So I think Miro already had a monster year, defenseman-wise. He had career high in points without playing some of these big offensive minutes. And I think once he gets those offensive minutes, you're going to start to see Norris candidacies coming your way with a player like this. So I think at under $100 to get what I think could be a big time candidate for Norris trophies in the future. I'm all about it.
Okay. Yeah, $100 is always tough. So like you have to relegate yourself to like young prospects or studs that haven't panned out just yet. You're just hoping for the potential to hit, right? But I'm going to go a different way with $100 because, I was like looking at a ton of cards. I'm like, oh, this is 200 or this is 300. It's already over the budget. I'm going with the 2022 Topps case hits of the home field advantage cards. You remember those cards?
Yeah.
It looked like those. It was a ripoff of those Panini Downtown cards that we talked about in a previous episode. And I got one for, I got one of Vladdy for $150. Got one of Judge for like 90. And I looked at prices; they're all going for like $30 or $40 raw now. So I'm like, wow, I bought at the peak. But you know what? Like, it's a good time for like I think I mentioned I wanted to do this, and now that I see how cheap they are raw, just to buy the set.
That would be
$30 each.
Yeah.
8 of them. And just get them graded by SGC or something like that.
I think that'd be really cool. I seen somebody do the veterans of that.
Oh,
which is nuts. It's SSSP.
Cal,
yeah. But go on. Sick. Yeah, that's sweet. I like that.
Yeah, that's next level. I would love to do that. But that $100 limit, you got to go for
that's happening.
Like I just looked at Juan Soto raw. His home field advantage is like listed for $35 right now. You know what I mean? Right. And these are case hits, so I guess they printed a lot of cases for there to be so many. but
they say case hits. That doesn't mean anything anymore.
I know, right?
True. So like, I just think there's something to this. Like, you hardly get these case hit inserts that look nice from Topps, especially.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a licensed product. I think there's something there. It's just a gut play for me, but I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna. After this podcast, I'm going to see if I can grab some of these cards for cheap and complete the set. I've never actually completed a set, so this might be a good challenge and something fun for me.
I think it'll look sick. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
All right. I'll show you once I complete it. Okay, let's go on to the next budget level, $1,000. What are you looking to spend?
1,000 big bones. I'm going. This is going to shock you guys probably, but I'm going with a Bryce Harper Bowman Chrome Auto. Is Bowman Chrome Auto at about $950 for BGS 9.5. I think he's gonna win his third MVP in his career. Like, and that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
So for me, it's kind of like our discussion before. Like, I'm leaning more towards kind of like, okay, if I'm gonna now invest in a player, where do I see a lot of value where I could potentially see a good long-term investment? I think Bryce Harper gets so much hate, and I think he's so talented, and he's pretty much, I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer, and if he wins his third MVP, that's a bold statement. Like, I mean, that's pretty impressive. So I'm going with Bryce Harper's Bowman Chrome Auto for $950.
I like that.
Wow, nice.
That's crazy that it's under 1,000 now.
Yeah.
All right, man. I'm going to show hockey some respect, and I'm just going to go hockey all the way. At $1,000, I'm going to save people a lot of money. We're going with Nikita Kucherov, Young Guns PSA 10. Kucherov, I could be wrong on this, but I don't think he has a Future Watch auto. Okay. So the Young Guns is his main rookie card. The last one just sold a couple of days ago at auction for under 600. I think it went for like 555.
Wow. Okay.
Young Guns PSA 10, Nikita Kucherov. He is an absolute stud. I think, Clark, people like you forgot about him and disrespecting his name. He was the scoring leader in last year's playoff, and he's putting up numbers again. And if you watch this year's playoffs, we're all from Toronto, so we're watching Kucherov closely. He's still a big time player, man. And I think if you can pick up a guy like this under 600 for Young Guns, there are so many Young Guns cards that are more expensive than Kucherov, and Kucherov is way bigger of a player. So I'm liking Kucherov at under 600. I think this is a card that can easily rebound even within this playoffs. I hope not. I hope the Leafs take care of Tampa, but I have a feeling this is a card that can go to $800-900. Even within the next month. So it's a big time card.
All right. Good pick. Yeah. I kind of faded Kucherov, but But yeah, he might make me eat my words after at this playoff round or even next season. So, but 600 sounds really cheap.
Yeah.
So okay, for me, the $1,000 budget, I'm going with Anthony Edwards Panini Prizm Silver PSA 10s.
Okay.
I think the last one just sold for under 900, and I remember in the November card show that we went to, it was going around 2,000 Canadian, so maybe like 1,800, 1,700 US. And I was like looking for a card even back then. Just like, you know who Anthony Edwards reminds me of in terms of the hobby? Ja Morant. Like I remember Zion and Ja coming up at the same time, and everyone was in on Zion. Like Ja Morant, of course, like he had skills and talents, and his card wasn't worth nothing. But compared to Zion, it was like the discrepancy was so large. And I think in the same way, you look at Anthony Edwards, and then you look at LaMelo prices. And this is just a spoiler alert. I'll be coming up in the pick one segment next to in our next segment. But at Anthony Edwards, like just seeing the playoffs, like he had at least one 40-point game. I think he's the future of. Sorry, John. I think Cat's not the future of the Timberwolves. I think Ant-Man is, right?
I might have to agree with that. I might have to agree.
And he's just like a likable guy. Like we talk about likable guys, like off the court, and if you look at his interviews, like he's so like a little bit kooky, but like
he's a bit of a personality for sure.
Like he loves his dog. He talks about his dog a lot. And it's just like, and yeah, he's just like a likable guy. So, and he's got the talent on the court with his monster dunks. He's on highlight reels. I think he's kind of like that guy that's maybe being a little bit overshadowed by LaMelo. And I like his prices right now at about 800-900. And I could see that rebounding sharp if he has another great season next year.
Nice.
Good call.
All right, let's go finish this segment off with $5,000. What are we doing with that?
$5,000. I'm going with 2011 Topps update Mike Trout Diamond anniversary.
What?
A 9.5 BGS 9.5. So these actually went up to close to 10K at the peak of the hobby. They've retracted down to about 5K for min gem. There's Trout doesn't have too many parallels in rookie. Paper really was his only his Topps update, and then you have his Cognac and his Diamond, and then the Hope anniversary, which is the Grail for everybody. But then you have like the red and blue Walmart borders, and then other than that, you have to go to Bowman Chrome, where it's just his true Bowman Chrome is just impossible to get color, right? So I think it's a great buy at 5K. This is where we talk about GOAT type players, like he's putting up another MVP type season this year, and the Angels are winning. It's a breath of fresh air. I like where the Ohtani and Trout combos, they're actually showing their talent. And Trout isn't showing any signs of aging at all. He's 31 years old, family man now, but he is putting up numbers, and that excites me because that is needed for the hobby, I believe, because Trout is kind of like the iconic guy in the hobby for baseball, right? He's the guy that kind of paved the whole hobby with his Bowman Chrome Auto in 2009 with Vegas Dave, not Super Dave as mentioned before. I think it was in the last episode. But yeah, I think he's a great buy, his Diamond BGS 9.5 at 5K if you can get it. Find it.
That's a great pick.
So I never understood this because I wasn't in the hobby in 2011. Is Diamond Anniversary and Cognac, like those parallels, is it the same as like Mother's Day and Father's Day and Independence Day and stuff like that?
No, they're not numbered. He has no really.
Right.
Oh, he has.
Are they just
black.
like normal parallels in paper product?
Yeah, just regular parallels, kind of not non-numbered parallels. You do have your blacks. Honestly, I obviously seen the platinum. I showed you the platinum 1/1 Trout. I don't know. I seen the black Trout. I haven't seen much other than those two numbered Trouts. They're super rare, and that's to my point too. It's like as these players age, these low pop cards, they're lost. You won't even see them surface.
True, yeah.
Right? And that's why a lot of people are on the chase of these high end of like the Fernando Tatis, the Ronald Acuna Juniors, the GOAT type players that can produce Mike Trout type careers. Because if you could get in early enough, yeah, it's a hefty investment, but that's why I say lock in the safe, and then you kind of see where it goes, right? Think of a PSA 10 of a number to 25 of a Mike Trout, Topps update, what it'd be worth today in this day and age, right? So, yeah.
With these Topps update cards too, like these parallels, even though they're not numbered, they're pretty rare. Like I just looked up Card Ladder, pop count for BGS 9.5 of the Diamond Anniversary is 229.
Right.
PSA 10 just over 300. PSA 9 about 100. So you add that all up, that's still
not
about
much,
600, right?
Right.
So yeah, so it's rare.
Right.
But great pick.
All right, boys. So I saved everybody some money at the $1,000 mark. So we're actually going to spend. We're going to spend a little bit more at the $5,000 mark.
I was going to say budgets are meant to be broken.
We're going Crosby, Future Watch Auto, BGS 9, Autograph 10, 910. The last one just sold for under $6,000.
Okay.
I think of the Crosby, like we've talked about this before, Crosby is undervalued right now. And that Future Watch Crosby is going to become one of these iconic grail cards within the hockey. Maybe in the hobby overall, it kind of is. But definitely within the hockey segment, this is up there with the grail, big time grail cards. And to get a BGS 9, that's still a really, really good grade for a paper product. And it's under $6,000. I was saying before some of our targets at the June card show, Luka and Soto, like a $4,000 or $5,000 Luka Soto would be like a great target. But man, if I could trade into like a Crosby Future Watch, that might sideline me from my goal. Like I think just looking at the price, because I mean these were cards. Anytime we went to these shows, like you look at Crosby Future Watch, doesn't matter the grade, it's in the 5 figures, right? Easily in the 5 figures. So to see it with a pretty good grade, with a 10 auto at under 6,000, I think that is a big time buy for a hockey collector and any collector in general.
Yeah, it's a great choice, and I like that play because when you talk about like those grail cards and those like limited, especially with the SP Authentic Future Watch number to 999 of GOAT players, like I love the play where you don't necessarily have to go for the BGS 9.5 or PSA 10. You know what I mean? Like
right.
Like the grade doesn't matter as much when we're talking about these cards, because the rarity is still there. Yeah. So that's a great pick. All right, I'll end off the segment. $5,000. I'm gonna cheat a little bit too because the last sale was just over 5,000. But then if you look back in April, March, it went under 5,000. So taking averages about 5,000. Yeah. 2008 Topps Chrome Kobe Bryant with LeBron guarding him. You know that card?
Oh yeah.
Refractor is around the $5,000 mark.
Oh really?
Beautiful.
It's crazy
card.
now.
Oh, that's not bad.
Like I remember talking about wanting this card, the non-refractor version, just a chrome, and it was about 25 to 3,000. Now those are like 1,000, right? Right. So now I'm like, if I saved up a bit more, I could get the refractor, which looks a lot nicer 100%. Too, with the shine, and this is a beautiful card. So yeah, if you had that money, like those are like PC cards for me. You know what I mean? Just to have that. It's so that's why it's kind of fun to when you look at when the markets are like this, like looking at cards where like you remember how much they used to cost, right? And now you're like, maybe now if I could save some money, I can get
this
it.
is a true hobbyist, like they're like
rubbing
waiting,
your hands,
rubbing your hand, waiting. I'm gonna make my move on this finally. I can actually afford it.
100%. All right, that was a fun exercise to do, especially during these market times. But like we said, there's a sports card expo coming up. Hopefully, some of these prices are reflected. And the thing with you guys know this. The thing with sports card shows, a lot of these dealers still mark them up like it's 2019, 2020.
right.
So we'll see how it goes.
I included. Okay, here's why. I'll just defend the dealers on this. You list it for market price. You have some clown that is going to offer you like 20% of 30% of that on top. Yeah, so you get it all the time. And then you could kind of deal, because then people want to trade, and they want to trade at that market value. You're like, absolutely not. They want 20% off eBay or 30% off eBay. So you're just like, okay, you know what? If that's the case, we'll start at like $1 million and work down. You know?
All right. Understood. Okay, let's wrap up this episode with our weekly segment called Pick One. And we're just going to do the regular edition again this week. We did it last week, and we're just talking about this off the air, that it's harder and harder to come up with our hobby hot takes edition. Unless we start to go super crazy with our hot takes. So we might change things up every other week instead of the hot takes edition. We're still thinking about what we can do on these alternate weeks. But we'll for today's episode, we'll go do the regular edition of Pick One, where we pit 2 cards together and we debate which one we would rather have. Okay, so I'll go first because I kind of already mentioned it in the previous segment. Would you rather have a Anthony Edwards Panini Prizm Silver PSA 10, which, as I mentioned, is going for $800, $900, or a LaMelo Ball Panini Prizm Silver, which is almost double that, around $1,700 PSA 10?
Wow.
Johnny, you could go first.
I think the value buy here, investment wise, I think it's a no-brainer. It's definitely Anthony Edwards. Coming off of their seasons now. I think LaMelo seems like he's a pretty special player, but I also think Anthony Edwards is also a special player. I would, even based on some of the buzz that they've been creating, I feel like they're 1A and 1B, even within the hobby and within their draft class. So to see the prices not being 1A, 1B, it's clearly 1 and 2, not the other way around. There's way too much of a correction to be had here. I think the LaMelo Ball Silver should come down a lot more, and I think the Edwards Silver could go up more. So it's an easy one. I think Anthony Edwards Silver is the buy between the two.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I agree as well. It's Zion and Ja all over again, right? I don't love LaMelo Ball's price at $1,700, knowing that
a bit pricey.
Knowing that silvers, like even like Trae Young silvers, are what they're at and stuff like that. So for me, like Anthony Edwards, he keeps turning heads. And I'm not saying that LaMelo isn't like he's a very, very talented player, but I'm not completely sold, to be honest. So
I'm with you.
I'm more sold on Anthony Edwards for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't put LaMelo Ball in that kind of. I don't put him in like a Luka Tatum territory.
He has a lot of work to do, I think, and I think a lot of people are like wanting to believe that.
Right.
But then you realize, what if he goes, and averages, like 20 points a game next year? What is that going to do to prices? Like, here's Trae Young friggin' hustling every night, dropping 30 a night. And he can't even get any love, right? So that's something that concerns me. But Anthony Edwards, like you said, it's like he's likable and he's just he's playing great basketball, and I see him as a scorer, and he's gonna continue that resume, and he's super, super young, right? So $900, it's not even a question,
right.
For me.
Yeah, I just wanted to take advantage of the segment to show love for Anthony Edwards. So it's gonna be
You set it up.
Sweep.
You just set it up, put it on a tee for you for the next segment. I see.
That's right. So like like I said in the previous segment, like you just said right now, Hyung, like I just see a lot of similarities between Zion and Ja.
Yeah.
Not saying that LaMelo's Zion and he's gonna go off the rails this next season.
Yeah.
But like in terms of
the
pricing
hype.
And the hobby,
the hype,
right, and the hype too.
Yeah, and the 100%. Release.
And like I'm like, even back then, I'm like, I always have this rule, like I don't like to go for the number one hype prospect because it's always overinflated.
Right.
And I'm like, I should buy a Ja Morant. I remember saying that to myself a year and a half ago. And did I do it? Of course I didn't do it, right? now look where it's got us, right? So
sure.
So I'm like, man, I kind of don't want to make the same mistake, with
But that's going
LaMelo.
back. That's going back. That's to your point. Like, you think that, oh, is this a good buy? And you're like, no one's doing it, so it's like maybe not. So you kind of like shy away. But those are the ones that you got to buy.
Yeah.
And trust your intuition, right?
Believe in yourself. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so it's an advanced sweep.
I'm gonna go second because I want to end off with Hyung's.
Okay.
He's got a good one coming. So I'm gonna go with two veterans that had sneaky career years in points, if you can believe it or not. So we're going Tarasenko Young Guns PSA 10. Yes, he had a career year in points, and he was one of your prediction darlings at the beginning of the season, Clark. Versus Kadri Young Guns PSA 10. Not as sneaky because we did talk about Kadri before, but they are both veterans. They both had career years and points. Both of their PSA 10s hover around $125, $150. So we're talking value buys here for a couple of pretty decent studs. So of the two, which one are you going?
Man, I don't know. You know me. I like investing in GOAT type players, and this is completely far from. You're going down the line here. I understand they had career years, but for me, I'm not buying Kadri. I guess for me, it's like, I guess Tarasenko is the older player. He probably is more closer to scoring the points per game. Than Kadri. So I'm going to go Tarasenko. I just think he probably has a better career than Kadri, because I didn't think Kadri had a outstanding, I'd say, career. But
right.
Yeah. Tough one though.
I don't know. It's not a tough one for me. I'm going with Tarasenko. I think maybe the bias is there because I was always pro Tarasenko, as you mentioned at the beginning or earlier in the season. I just see him as a pure goal scorer, and I like his raw talent. Yeah. Maybe it's the bias with seeing Kadri on the Leafs. Like, I still view him more as a role player, although he had an amazing season, especially with the Avalanche this past year, right? And maybe he's got another gear in him, but I kind of like my chances with Tarasenko. So for me, it's Tarasenko all the way.
Dang, I thought I could maybe get you guys with the Leaf bias. Before I pick Tarasenko, because I am also going to pick Tarasenko, this is going to be a sweep. I will make a point about Kadri. I think he did have a bit of like an anomaly in terms of a statistical season. Like, this guy is averaging 55 points a year, and all of a sudden he's got 85.
Right.
So we talked about this before. I think people are interested, but not yet ready to put any money into him. He's got to have one more year of like a point per game. So next year is going to be that season. And again, this is one of those cards where you can throw some money at to bet on that and one more year. And Kadri, on the other token, Kadri was beloved by Leaf fans. So let's not underestimate the power of a big hockey market. There can be a lot of Leaf fans that want to buy Kadri in the future as a PC. So let's not underestimate that as well. But with that being said, it's tough to go against Tarasenko, who was once considered a legitimate superstar in the league. And he's trying to prove to everybody again that he is still that superstar. And he is not necessarily having a statistical season that is an anomaly. This is kind of normal for his path, where he scores kind of like on that point per game trajectory, right? So of the two, Tarasenko is certainly the player that could have the exact same season or better by next year. So at $125 Young Guns, man, that is this guy is $100 candidate. I probably should have put him in. I was actually thinking of putting him budget, in instead of Miro Heiskanen, but I wanted to kind of save him for this segment. But he's there, man, at around $100. What a buy. So yeah, Tarasenko.
Cool. Another sweep. All right, Hyung, wrap things
All right.
up.
We'll wrap things up with I guess I'm pairing these two because obviously I might have done this earlier episode, but it changes, and I know we have a newer audience, but for me, like when I came back into the hobby, Acuna was like my big chase. Like I loved Acuna. Like I loved his swag. I loved everything he brought. True 5-tool player. And by the way, do you guys see that home run he hit? Like
on his knees.
On on the ground.
450 off on his knees.
I thought he blew out his knee again, and my
yeah.
jaw just dropped. But yeah, dead center. But anyways, one of the two kind of like grail cards of Acuna, other than his Bowman Chrome, in terms of his rookie cards in 2018. His Bowman Chrome is 2017. 2018, it's the battle between the Acuna Topps Update SSP white jersey, PSA 10, versus a Topps Chrome Sapphire PSA 10. So the white jersey update is the SSP, so equivalent to the Soto Gatorade bath. But in Acuna, it's such there's so much nostalgia in that card of classic baseball. For me, it was one of the, I actually pulled, I pulled one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I pulled the Acuna white
crazy.
jersey, which was crazy. I was the greatest day of my life at that time because that was why I was buying it. I wasn't even looking for Soto at the time. Although I pulled the Soto Gatorade bath too, but the white jerseys, I pulled two. There's a horizontal and a vertical, which is crazy. There's print runs like 300 or whatever. But
yeah.
Anyways, it's such a difficult card to choose between like the Sapphire PSA 10 and the white jersey because both are so demanded, and it's literally 50-50 every single time I ask someone. Like every time, which one would you rather have? The Sapphire, which has the higher pop count, right? So this might be the same situation as like a blue and a foil board, a chrome versus a paper, right? So yeah, it's what do you guys think? Acuna white jersey SSP PSA 10, so pop 55 versus a 2018 Acuna Sapphire, Topps Chrome Sapphire PSA 10 with a pop of 103.
What's the pricing difference on them?
Yeah, they're running probably about the same.
Really?
Anywhere from I'd say on
6 to 8,000?
very low 6 to 10. I'd say.
Right. Wow, the white jersey could be had for 6. That's insane.
No, I don't think you'll be able to find the white jersey
probably
for
like
6.
8.
Yeah, closer to 8.
Look at Card Ladder. I think the last one sold for just over 7,000.
Okay, there you go. And then Sapphire's probably, you might get some in the 6 to 8.
Just under 6 was the last sold.
Yeah, so you got the cheaper buy with the Sapphire right now.
Right.
Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, I think personally, I'm just gonna you guys go first.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah. Oh man, I love both of these cards so much. You know what? I can't, as much as I love the white jersey, you can't go away. And, to each their own. And you can see why this is like a 50-50 poll. But to go with the bat down image, which has no parallels, and then to have the Sapphire version. And you know what's weird is I own I previously owned the Ohtani Sapphire. And on Ohtani's card, it's the same year. It's the same card. But Ohtani's Sapphire, the actual like the crystal graphics, it's only sort of on the outside of his card, whereas Acuna, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I'm wrong on this, but the Acuna, the Sapphire crystals are like on the entire card, which makes it it's so different, right? Like when
that makes sense actually.
Like when I had the Ohtani in hand, I was thinking when I first got it back in the day, I was thinking I was getting the Ohtani version of the Acuna Sapphire, and I got it and I was like, man, this is underwhelming. I can only see the the ice chips like kind of on the edges of the card, whereas the Acuna, the entire card is just blinged out, right? So it's different. I don't know why it's different, but regardless, it's a good thing for Acuna, I guess, because it's the bat down image, it's Sapphire, it's arguably one of the better Topps graphic designs within all of the modern cards. And then it's the Sapphire, right? One of the better Sapphire designs as well. Everything is going with that card. I put Acuna Sapphire in terms of modern cards, one of the most beautiful it could be number one for me, one of the top beautiful modern cards in existence. So as much as I love the white jersey, there's just too much going on for the Sapphire. Value-wise, Grail-wise, PC-wise, it's got it all. So it's going to be the Acuna Sapphire for me.
Nice. What about you, Clark?
Yeah, I think he did this before way back. And funny enough, I think I chose the Sapphire.
But you're going to change.
He's going the other way.
I'm going to flip. This is why it's 50-50, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's highly subjective in terms of how the card looks to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like any given day, like I can look at the Sapphire and I'm like, this is a beautiful card, and it is. But then I look at the white jersey now, and I don't know if like subconsciously Hyung's been talking about the white jersey over the past year. About how it's like this instant classic. And I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that's a clean looking card. Right. You know, with the blurred crowd in the background and just the stance and it being paper and, you know, like something nostalgic about this card that makes it classic.
Right.
And just, you know, for baseball card collectors, everyone knows what the white jersey Acuna card is. You know, there's already some weight to it from a hobby collector standpoint. So all those factors kind of weighing in. I think that's why I'm flipping. I'm like, I've become a little bit more educated on the Acuna rookie cards. And, you know, whereas, you know, I could totally see though, like if I'm a beginner collector, like the shine of the Sapphire could be very appealing. But when you go a little bit deeper, I think I appreciate the Topps update white jersey a little bit more. And the rarity is a nice bonus too. Like I like, you know, just knowing that the pop count is 55 PSA 10.
Super low.
Super
the
low
pop count.
SSP rare. Yeah. So, yeah, that's why I'm going with white jersey this time. If you ask me again next year, I might flip again. We don't know. But,
it's funny because like that's what happens, and that's why I would love to do a poll on this if we can on our Instagram.
Sure.
But like the last show, the Toronto show, I want to buy the white Acuna jersey, the white jersey Acuna SSP, and I was close to doing that. I was actually looking for it, but then like lately I've been wanting the Sapphire for the points John made, actually, because it goes back. Like I wrote like this long post way back in 2019 why the Acuna Sapphire is such a special card. Because like Bat Down Series 2 is kind of like his true flagship rookie. Like that's going to be their classic rookie card. And because it was a short print, there's no parallels, right? And Topps Chrome had a totally different image. I think number 174 is Topps Chrome image where he's swinging on the other side, not his open side. That totally took all the Chrome parallels, right? So that Bat Down became the iconic image, and that Sapphire is really the only parallel, right? And at a super low print run as well. And for me, I went and bought at the time. This was crazy. This was back in 2019 when the Sapphire was still selling for raw. I bought a raw Sapphire for $2,000 at the time. And people thought I was insane because no one was buying raw cards at $2,000, but I just had to have this card, and it ended up PSA 10ing. So crazy. Like it was the best, and I ended up picking up another. This is where the card market was crazy. I actually right before COVID happened. This is when Kobe Bryant passed away. Right before I was in LA too. And I flew to pick up another Sapphire that somebody was unloading for like $3,000, right? So I ended up grabbing another. So I had two Sapphire, and I ended up flipping it to fit one of them to Phil Hughes and took profit. And then I had one left, so I was like, this is the one I kind of graded myself, so I'm going to keep it. But then the whole, COVID thing happened, and I got paper handed, and I sold it. So now you fast forward now, and I'm just like, oh, now the Sapphire is on my mind. So I'm going to go with Johnny and say Sapphire, and I regret... And maybe it's because the one I pulled ended up grading a BJS 8.5, which sucked because it had a bad corner.
You're talking about the white jersey?
I kind of the white jersey I pulled. And then I ended up buying a PSA 10 for really cheap, which I did well on. So I had two of each at one point.
Crazy.
But yeah, I think I miss the Sapphire a lot more right now these days. So we'll do another one. We'll do another one at the end of the year and see our answers.
You know, normally the Acuna Sapphire for the longest time, it kind of floated around a $6,000 mark.
It was,
maybe as high as
go
$8,000.
up. It wouldn't
But
go
the
up.
white jersey always kind of floated around the like $8,000 to $10,000 mark.
Right. I think that's because of the rarity, right?
Right. But to see the white jersey at like 7 or maybe sub 7, man, just strictly if it's a 50-50 coin flip and then, you know, maybe investment purposes kind of takes over. That at $7K, the white jersey sounds like a buy to me.
There's a white jersey auto as well. That's to 5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So but the only bad part is sticker auto, right? So there's the Gatorade Bath as well with this Juan Soto auto,
right?
Numbered to 5, I think, or it might not even be numbered, but yeah, it's super low print. But yeah, both you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Yeah, we'll put that poll up when this show airs on our Instagram story, and it'll be interesting. I bet you it'll be 50-50 again.
Right.
So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see the law of averages.
Yeah, we'll definitely try that. All right, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to today's episode of Cards to the Moon. We appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed this episode, if you could give us 5 stars, that would help us out a lot. And yeah, we'll see you again next Tuesday for another new episode. See you later. Hey, thanks for listening to Cards to the Moon. We'd really appreciate you subscribing to our podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And you can also connect with each of us on Instagram at 5cardguys, or you can follow Hyung at Integrity Sports Cards, or John at TradeU at Recess. You can also check us out at 5cardguys.com. Thanks again, and hope to connect soon.